Elentila Lumenomentielvo. Welcome to Tolkien on Tap. I'm TJ. Grab a drink and enjoy Almien. All right. Welcome back to Tolkien on Tap. I am TJ, as it says in the intro. I've got some returning guests with me tonight. I have Jen, who was in the previous one of our previous episodes. Say hello, Jen.
Hello.
Very
What
good.
is up?
What
I never know
it
what to
do?
say in these situations.
It's all good.
My
What are you drinking?
Gavanen.
What are you drinking tonight? Exactly. Yeah, be as nerdy as possible.
I am drinking a self-made drink called Sting.
What do you
It,
have in it?
it's literally just rum, blue curacao, and grapefruit sparkling juice.
It actually sounds
That
delicious,
sounds amazing.
It's pretty
right?
good. Yeah,
Right.
I at some point I might go get a thing that will make it actually glow blue, but
Ooh, nice.
if I put it in there, it would overflow my glass right now, so I'm not
That'll be funny
doing
if
that yet.
later in the episode you turn your lights off and put a glow stick in there.
Well, I've got these little things that like are made, you can like put them in like fish tanks and
Hmm.
hot tubs and stuff, and they just like are totally waterproof little like LED glowy things. They're like
Yeah.
ice cube sized. And I was like, oh, I should go grab one and stick it in here and just make it be blue.
Amazing.
Yeah. We also have George returning. George, hello. How are you?
Hello.
What are you drinking? I
I
see you
am
sipping on
drinking
something.
beer mimosas made from simply orange juice and I just forgot some Chicago beer. The same people
From
that make
Chicago.
this. It's the same brand as last. It's the people that make 312. What is that? Anyway,
Goose
whatever.
Island. Goose Island.
Yeah, it's the Goose Island like IPA
Gotcha.
multi-pack. No idea
Gotcha.
which one
Gotcha.
this
Mm,
is, but I'm making beer mimosas.
That's all right.
Drinking
there you
IPAs,
go.
gross. Put a little orange juice in it, less gross.
Mm.
Tonight I have some cosmopolitans drinking out of my.
Ooh,
I have a harp glass because Finderato.
naturally,
I'm pouring
There
my
you
naturally.
little
go.
Also
Finderato
drink,
in.
also
So
drink.
we'll get to that in a minute.
Mm,
I will drink for that right now.
mm.
Before we get started, we will go over the drinking rules real quick. I can't remember if they've changed since you two have been on.
Oh God.
They have. They have.
Oh,
Okay, so for those playing at home and for you two as well, for there's like two or three that weren't here last time you were both here. We will take a drink for anytime we say Finrod or Finderato, Fingolfin or Nolfinwe, Nelia Finwë, Maitimo, Rosindo, any one of Mythros's names.
okay.
If
Those are
we
all
say
Midros, just to be
yeah,
clear, from my
yes.
Sindarin idiot self.
Don't disparage yourself, George.
Ah,
Also, if we say fuck Elu Thingol, Elway Singolo, Elway Sindicolo, after Beth is mentioned, if the Shibboleth is mentioned, if Ada Finwë is mentioned, if Gandalf loving hobbits is mentioned, anytime we say Faramir, and actually specifically if Jen says Faramir, well, I personally will take two drinks.
yeah,
Um,
that tracks. Yes.
Anytime we say for Frodo, or any of Turin's names are brought up, and
Oh God.
anytime Huan
Yeah.
is mentioned, yeah,
Mm.
they've
Oh,
changed.
yeah.
At
Woof
some
woof.
point, it's just gonna be like a name is said or a word is said, and we're drinking. It's gonna be a very, very short conversation with lots of drinking
I love
very
it.
soon.
So just for my fellow, there was one more name. It was another Finn name. David's not here to help.
Our Finway. I'm sorry. That's Finarfin.
Thank you.
So
Okay.
many fucking Finns. God damn it. I'm so
I
sorry.
know they just all had so much hair.
Right. Well, if you watch David's most recent videos, it's not necessarily about the hair. I can't.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. It says that in it's somewhere in is it the fucking shibboleth? Damn it. I think I'm in the
It's
shibboleth.
always the shibboleth drink.
Yeah, there's something I can't remember exactly where it's at. There's a chapter of something called The Problem of Finn. And it also talks about how the fin doesn't necessarily have anything to do with hair. But at any rate, so Jen and George are back because we did not get to finish our discussion on adaptations. I don't personally remember where we ended.
Well,
I think
specifically like film adaptations, because if we're talking all adaptations, we're gonna be here for the next 12 days.
I mean, I have in the interim watched all of the cartoons.
I'm down to talk about all adaptations, but I know that
But
we were
yeah,
talking about the film adaptations that Peter Jackson did initially, and we did want to cover the Hobbit films and the Rings of Power specifically, like the most successful or the most pop culture ones were the ones we wanted to talk about. So we talked a lot about Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. I don't recall if we finished.
I don't think we did. I think we talked a lot about Two Towers and a lot about Faramir.
yeah, probably
Oh
so.
boy,
Ring
oh boy,
twice.
that's twice.
Yep, yep.
Oh, that's a big chug. Oh boy, that's strong. This is gonna be
Yeah,
this is
maybe
gonna be
don't chug that.
this is gonna be a hard episode for me.
Yeah.
Um,
This is going to be a 20-minute long episode.
20-minute long episode. Yeah.
I know we
Do you...
talked about, yeah, we talked about a certain wizard's pupil.
Mm.
I was like, wait a minute. Oh, that's right.
But I don't know if we ever like really talked about really
The rest
anything.
of them.
I think
Well, real quick then, let's go over the Return of the King
Okay.
as an adaptation. Things we liked, things we didn't like.
Yeah.
And whoever wants to start can go.
Well, I was going to say, I think we did cover the exemption of Scouring of the Shire. But I think
Yeah,
we
we
otherwise
yeah.
didn't talk about the movie at all, except for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I have feelings about the exemption of the Scouring of the Shire. For the most part, like I love the Scouring of the Shire, but
Mm.
I think that in a film setting it just doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
And it when people are already, your normies are
Yeah.
complaining about how many endings the movie has. I think adding probably an extra 15 to 20 minutes for the Scouring of the Shire
And
just
also, that's not enough to do it justice. So,
yeah, and I think it's one of those things where because they kind of picked like Frodo and the Ring as the central storyline of the films, I think the Scouring of the Shire is a really important aspect of the books to really showcase the growth that in particular Merry and Pippin had, but also a little bit Sam and Frodo, but mostly Merry and Pippin. And I think because Merry and Pippin were kind of decentralized in the films, I think that basically taking your like just tacking on some more endings and being like, oh yeah, and so the Shire, like, yeah, it's real fucked up. And Frodo, like Frodo doesn't really like Frodo participates, but it really is like the Merry and Pippin show. And so I think kind of like
There's a cute Sam moment in there.
yeah, I mean there's the best Sam moment where Tolkien said ACAB before his time, but
Oh no, I was talking specifically
Yeah.
about when he goes to check on Rosie
oh
and he
yeah.
pretends like he's like making sure everything's okay with everybody, and Rosie's like, right. Oh, you can
Yeah.
check on everybody, right?
Right.
It's adorable.
Sure.
It's adorable.
It is adorable.
Um,
Yeah, Sam had some good stuff, but I think because the films really centralized the story of Frodo and the Ring, I think that the Scouring of the Shire works in a book, and I think it doesn't really work in a film.
yeah, I think TJ has said this. Forgive me, I don't remember if it was on this podcast or just in
I talk a lot. It could have been
life in
anywhere.
general. Yeah, say
Literally.
we talk about Lord of the Rings a fair bit. So like it works in a book, it could work in a TV show, but you can't really do anticlimax in film. It just doesn't suit the medium. So
especially
I
when you're
don't
already kind of doing
you say you
like
don't know,
kind
aren't
of
you the one that said that?
you
Sorry, Jen.
you skip Fields of Cormallen to effectively go straight to Minas Tirith, and then you go straight to the coronation, and then you sort of kind of merge the coronation and the wedding, which
Yeah.
and then you kind of just skip straight to the hobbits returning to the Shire, so you don't get anything with like returning to Orthanc and Treebeard being like, yeah, I let him go. Like, I think, like, from a film perspective, I think that having Saruman die at Isengard at the beginning of Return of the King film, like it kind of ties that up very neatly. And
Yeah.
I think that in a film setting where a lot of nuance is lost, I think that it makes Treebeard seem kind of silly and frivolous to be like, oh yeah, I know he's super evil, but
Yeah.
I let him go. Like,
Because the book is already on the line. If I'm being honest, for my opinion, the book rides that line a little bit.
you did what now? Like, and I think that's just way too hard to portray in a film without weakening the character of Treebeard, without excessively extending the length of the film, without making the film have way too much of a falling action piece. Like, I
Yeah.
think it just makes your movie too goddamn long. And people already complain that it's too goddamn long. And
It has so many endings.
I
Yeah.
mean, I could go for 6 hours of Return of the King person. I could go for 12 hours of Return of the King. I don't give a shit. But like,
This is why 6 films would have been phenomenal.
films would have I think 6 seasons of television would be ideal.
How many are we doing? The eight
I
episode
think
bullshit that Amazon's doing?
we're not going to talk about that because then we're going to talk about Rings of Power and then I'm going to
Oh, we're
complain
gonna get
about
to
it.
Rings of
Yeah, well, I say
Power.
that's why we're
But
here.
I think like 10 to 15 episodes, but like full hour long episodes, not like
Mhm.
TV hours that are actually like 40 minutes, like
Right.
actual full hour long episodes, commercial-less, whatever. I think you can tell that story in 60 to 75 episodes pretty easily.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
that's
see that.
60 hours. Like,
Still not enough
So
still not enough.
for me.
Long
But I mean,
story.
even the audiobooks I don't even think are 60 hours.
No.
I
No, I
think
don't think
every
so.
audiobook is under 20 hours a piece. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So long story short, I want to see the Scouring of the Shire in Rings of Power season 19.
yeah.
Season 19.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing if they did keep going. Like, you know what? We're just gonna
Keep going.
fucking do
All
the Lord
right.
of the Rings story
Okay.
now.
No, because then I have to watch Maxime Baldry die, and I already have to watch Lloyd Owen die, and I'm not looking forward
You don't
to
know if
that
that's
at
gonna
all.
happen or not in this show. Because they could do that in this
Yeah.
show. And just like end on a shot of a hand reaching for a ring in a river. They could. You never know.
No, they could. They could. I don't know. It's true. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Also,
But
forgive me, I'm blanking. Maxime Baldry is.
Isildur.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yep. So the problem, like I probably did say, I don't know, listen, I drink a lot, guys. It's been 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks. All right. Let's calm down. I could stop whenever I want. I could drink whenever I want too. I probably said it and I probably meant it then, but today I feel different.
Sure.
So
Fair.
I'm still so mad that it was left out because it's such an important message in the book. Like
Mhm.
I rant about this on my TikTok every once in a while. Like the whole message that Peter Jackson has in his films, and I'm just gonna disclaimer, like we love these films regardless, but like that doesn't mean that the things we love can't also be criticized.
Put that on a plaque and stick it at your next job.
Right, exactly. I'm a welder. I could just weld it up now.
There you go.
There you
It's
go.
gonna take me a long time to weld that. And I would. The thing is, the Peter Jackson's films, what they do messaging wise, not putting the Scouring of the Shire in the film is letting you know that hey, war is always just far off and you can go home and everything's back to normal ish. You might have a couple weird looks, but like everything's perfect. It's a weird message to me. And I understand like the problem of trying to fit it in, but there's been other films that have anticlimax. And like the theatrical didn't even take care of Sauron. The theatrical forgot Sauron existed, which is the stupidest fucking decision you can think of. You include a secondary villain for 2 films, and the third film is just gone.
He's just gone.
Weird.
What are these theatrical versions that you're talking about? I don't know what that is.
You didn't go see it in the theater. I got you.
I haven't seen that in 12 years.
12.
Oh my gosh.
No, almost 12. But yeah, I saw it. I mean, I saw it 7 times in theaters and in 2003 and early 2004. But Yeah,
it's just such a
I have
problem
not
to.
watched the
Well,
theatricals since.
and for me, and we've touched on a little bit, like sort of an example of why I love adaptation so much and why it fascinates me about like how, first of all, just how do you do a good job, but also like what does an individual person take out of the story? Because
Yeah.
Mhm.
Jen, a little bit ago, you called The Scouring of the Shire the Merry and Pippin show, which, with some, oh yeah, Sam and Frodo have some stuff. But for me, like and I think I talked a little bit about this last time, and I talked about it ad nauseum on Threads. Um, like for me, the Scouring of the Shire missing, which again I would do if I were making the movies, but to me, the missing the Scouring of the Shire affects the theme that TJ was talking about, but also Frodo's character, because movie Frodo fails at the quest, as Tolkien said, and as Tolkien said everyone would. He fails at the quest and then is sad and gets on the white ship and leaves.
Mhm.
The Scouring of the Shire provides sort of a like redemption slash confirmation of Frodo's nobility. So for me,
Mm.
the absence of the Scouring of the Shire is more offensive to Frodo
Mhm.
Huh.
than Merry and Pippin.
Yeah. Well, and
So,
also Frodo is such a compassionate person, like a
Mhm.
strong and
yeah,
compassionate person during the Scouring of the Shire. Because at this point, like he's given Sting to Sam, he
yeah,
refuses to wield the blade ever again,
yeah,
and he knows that there's going to be fighting. He knows there probably will be bloodshed, but he asks the other hobbits not to kill any other hobbits, even if they have defected over to Saruman's side,
yeah.
if it can be helped. He knows. And then he shows it's just the arc of pity, the pity of Bilbo and the pity of
Yes.
Frodo.
Oh,
And the
yes.
pity of Bilbo is echoed in the pity of Frodo during the Gollum stuff, but also it extends over to Saruman and Grima.
Oh, I had not made that direct connection.
I
That is
think
so good.
Yeah,
I think
it is beautiful.
something like I was just watching a video last night that was completely unrelated to this, but it came up because it was a video from Dropout, which is college humor, and it was Brendan Lee Mulligan and Zach Oyama talking about they basically have like a segment of their show. It's like Dungeon Academy or Dungeon Master Academy. I don't remember exactly what it's called, and I feel stupid because I literally just watched the video last night. But they basically like it's a segment where they take like opposite sides of an argument,
Mm.
and Brennan brings up how he feels like the story of the destruction of the ring is like ultimately, when you boil it down, like kind of this like neat, clean little like, well, all you have to do, even though it's really difficult, and I, not to undermine the difficulty of this quest, but like ultimately, all you have to do is throw this piece of jewelry into this volcano, and then that's it, and evil is defeated and whatever. And I think that that is a take, like it's an interesting take because yes, like ultimately that is true. Like there is a very clear like by the end of the third age, there is the very clear like we know that Sauron's life force is tied to the ring, and if we destroy the ring, Sauron will be defeated. But and in the movie, it's very clear cut like that. Like there's no having to like rehabilitate Gondor. We don't see that. We literally just go straight back to Minas Tirith and everything is good and happy, and we have the coronation, and then they return to the Shire and everything is idyllic and perfect and happy and wonderful. There's no real sense of the passage of time, but I think that the Scouring of the Shire is a really interesting piece because it does show that like it wasn't as simple as just throwing this piece of jewelry into this volcano and then poof, all evil is just gone from the world. We still have Sauron to deal with. We still have, I mean, that's one of like, if we're really gonna broaden our fields and talk about all adaptations, we have to talk about Lord of the Rings Online because that's my jam.
I really need to add that to the drinking game.
Yeah, we do need to add that to the drink game.
Here
If
we
if
go.
Jen brings up Lotro, drink a
Yep.
million times.
Yeah, I'm adding
Um,
it to the list.
but in Lotro, there is a whole storyline after the coronation and the wedding of Aragorn and Arwen, where the heirs of Castamere effectively are like attempting to rise up and install an heir of Castamere on the throne of Gondor because of everything with the revolution that happened in, I don't remember what years of the Third Age, but
What years of what?
the
The
Third Age, like
war of
the well, like the everything with the heirs of Castamere and
never mind.
Gondorian
the
Civil War.
usurper and everything, Gondorian
Yeah,
Civil
okay.
War.
I don't know.
I just
I
don't
don't know that
remember.
age. Never mind.
Yeah, I
Or
don't
that
remember
year.
off the top of my
I
head
know
what years
sometime in the
those
Third
are.
Age. Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
But effectively, like they insinuate that one of the sons of Castamere survived that and retreated to Umbar and has been like quietly building up a following ever since. And so the heirs of Castamere effectively start this like uprising, the second uprising, especially because they are upset that Aragorn, who they don't believe has a rightful claim to the throne, has married an elf. And it's just really interesting because it's like also when you go down into Umbar and Harad, like there are still echoes of like Sauron's influence and even Morgoth's influence throughout like Haradwaith and Cape of Umbar and everything. And it's just that's one of the things that I really love about the game is that it takes things that just kind of only get mentioned and turns them into these big, rich, interesting storylines that make the story of like the destruction of the ring and everything so much more complex and interesting. You know, like with the Scouring of the Shire, you know, it's more, you know, the war is not just centralized to Mordor and Gondor. It's, you know, it affects everyone beyond that, and there's like there's a whole storyline with how Sauron subjugates the Easterlings in Rhûn, and that's also really interesting. Like, and so you have to kind of deal with that whole thing. And there's just like, I don't know, but you can do that in a video game that people spend thousands of hours playing. That's not a big deal, but in a movie, like I think it's one of those things where if you had included Scouring of the Shire, you would have had to cut something else
Some of
or
the
shorten
bullshit they
something
added.
else. I mean, like the bullshit of Frodo ordering Sam to leave. Yeah, that
Yeah.
bullshit. Could have cut
Yeah.
that bullshit for sure. But I just think like I think that you kind of have to like as and also like with the Lord of the Rings musical, like you kind of have to oversimplify the story when you're trying to tell it in a constrained amount of time. And yes, Return of the King is over 3 hours long, and you know it did wonderfully in the box office. It did wonderfully at the awards, but I think that if they had added Scouring of the Shire, it just would have like gotten a little like, you know, you kind of have to keep your story really simple and really streamlined. And
See,
that
and I would have been cool with what they did if they didn't add the Grey Haven scene, had they just let it be the coronation and then that's the end of the film, because then there was room for an epilogue. Because then there's room for another movie with an epilogue that could have been the return, talking to Treebeard. And I know that you bring up that like Treebeard seems weird, but like the thing is Treebeard didn't even want to get involved in the first place in the film. He had to be convinced. So you could just as easily be like, just like he's in the book, Treebeard goes, no, he seems fine. I'll let him go, you know.
Yeah.
Because they already have that set up in the Two Towers, that Treebeard kind of is super nonchalant. I mean, it's in the book too. Like he's so nonchalant about the ways of the world, unless it directly affects him. Understandably, you could do, you know, then you get
aren't we all a little bit of Treebeard though? I think.
yeah. Yeah, but then you can get into the scouring and do justice to the scouring, and then you can add the beautiful Grey Havens. Like just because the Lord of the Rings books are has 3 volumes doesn't mean that we had to have a trilogy of films. Like I understand to George Lucas, like he made the trilogy super like popular and blah blah blah, but like break away from that. Like it's okay, make 4. Who cares? Let the Return of the King end with the Return of the King.
The thing that you also have to keep in mind is that very originally they intended to do 2 films.
Well, right.
And then Bob Shea was like,
well, it's 3 books.
This is 3 films. Like,
yeah.
Like, this is not 2 films. This is 3 films. But I don't think that if New Line had been asked to fund 4 films, that it ever would have happened.
That's very true. That's very true. And not to, yeah, you're not wrong whatsoever. It's like a, man, I really wish type of situation,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But we've talked about scouring a ton. Let's talk about a couple other things from Return of the King, and then we're going to switch gears to The Hobbit. I want to know everyone's favorite change and everyone's least favorite change. Mine least favorite change, obviously, is Frodo leaving or telling Sam to leave and Sam actually listening, which is ridiculous.
Such bullshit.
I'd have to think about my
the
favorite
scene of
change.
them going through Shelob's lair together and like holding hands and you know going through that trial together is like so important. And I mean, I think I understand what they were trying to portray with like the deception of Gollum and like the depth to which the ring has taken hold of Frodo, because I think they wanted to make his inability to destroy the ring in the end like make more sense, because you can't really include like the asterisk of like Tolkien saying nobody could have done it. Like
I think it would have been really cool if they had Gandalf and Frodo had a little talk after, you know, Frodo wakes up and, you know, all this other shit. And Gandalf like is like, I know, it's okay. Nobody would have been able to do that.
That in
LOTRO. They do that in LOTRO.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'll take a drink real quick.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say honestly, that's what I would prefer for the films over Scouring of the Shire. It's just that one-on-one conversation.
Yeah.
Just a little
and
bit.
you could have done that. Like it would have only taken like 5 minutes.
That's not even that's like a 2-minute scene.
You could do it
I would say you could do it in Merry and Pippin come in, like but I think they just wanted that to be a little more montagey, which is fine.
Which they could have done after that. Like once people start walking in, you could have had like sounds of the pitter patter of little Hobbit feet.
Yeah. 2 minutes. It's just you get like 40% less shield surfing.
All you have to
get
yeah, oh my god.
Hey
like
now,
honestly, all you have to do
it's
you're an all-star.
fun.
No, I agree.
All you have to do is have Frodo say, Gandalf, I failed. And Gandalf say, anybody would have, Frodo. You did what you were tasked to do. And then that's it.
Yep.
Good enough. Good enough. It's not even a 2-minute scene.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Okay, so everyone's favorite change and least favorite change from Return of the King.
I think we mentioned this last time, but it's hard to top Boromir.
Oh no, I'm sorry, from Return of the King.
From Return of the King specifically. Okay, that's good because we did talk about that probably.
We did talk about Boromir.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. All right. So,
yeah, because
the
further along they got in the story, the weirder the changes got, and I don't know how many I actually.
I mean, I can say my personal like least favorite, the omission that I hate the most, and they gave us the teeniest little taste in the extended edition, but like cutting out, get your drinks ready, cutting out the Faramir and Éowyn romance, because that romance and the scene in which Faramir like confesses his love to Éowyn and her heart changes and she realizes that she loves him as well, and they have like the world's most romantic beautiful kiss in the whole world, which is like also like cinematic as fuck. Like, why do you not include that in your movie?
I used that in the last episode that I had, or that I just put out at the time of this recording, for the fake commercial that David Dinaldo made.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, when they see each other.
Tolkien on Tap is brought to you in part by Aeromectin, your #1 cure for the black breath of the Nazgul and common cold. No need to bother with the Houses of Healing or King's Foil that's pushed by Gondor and Big Rivendell. Use this simple medicine of Aeromectin and you'll be just fine.
Yeah, like
but I agree with you.
Like,
I agree with
it's
you.
such a beautiful relationship, and it's such a beautiful like, and they gave us little teasy hints, and I know they filmed the fucking wedding. I've seen the pictures of them in their costumes. Give me the wedding, Peter. Give me the wedding.
You motherfucker.
That's all I want. I just want more.
See, this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. The further along you go in the Lord of the Rings films, the weirder and more questionable the changes get. Because what's your favorite change, George and Jen? Because I don't think I can think of one right now.
Oh, it it took me a minute, but I've got two. One is a legitimate, like, this is my favorite change, and one is like, we talked about it last time, especially under the leadership of the films. I wouldn't trust them with this, but this is also just icky in the book, is completely removing the Druidine, the Han Burihan, very icky kind of portrayals of native
The
people.
very
Yeah.
very colonizer
Yeah,
focused.
just not doing that. But
Yeah.
really, but speaking of things that are just actually, I think, good narrative choices and not just not being awful, is the switching of Theoden's last words being to
Eowyn
instead of to Mary and
That is a good
Éomer.
call. That
Like
is a good call.
Éomer is there too.
Yeah, I
And
could
yet, it's
certainly
like
agree with that.
the boys get to hear about it, and it's about Éowyn. But she doesn't get that even after she's done this incredible thing.
Mhm.
And yeah, so that was one of the big switches that
Yeah,
struck
really
me.
incredible choice. for
Yeah,
sure.
That's a phenomenal call,
Yeah.
George. I'm glad you
Yeah.
brought that up.
I'd agree with that. Favorite change.
Yeah, I can't think of one. Besides, like, I could just piggyback on George's and be like, yep,
Well,
that's the one.
So my favorite change is also like kind of tied into a change that I don't like. I don't really love how they kind of like tied Arwen's like life force to the evil that was spreading, and like
Agreed.
she was dying. Like, I mean, Elrond literally said like Arwen is dying when they
Right.
like bring like, okay, so this one favorite change number one, I love Elrond bringing Anduril
Yes.
to Aragorn at Dunharrow. I think
Do
it's
you really?
sick. I think it's so
Okay.
dope, and I just think it's super cool to like be like put aside the ranger, become who you were born to be. Like, fuck yeah, yeah, like it's dope. Also, in the context of who Aragorn is in the films versus who he is in the books, which is a completely
Okay,
different character.
that's fair.
But
Yeah, that's fair. But also I like that
but
change.
I
But-
think my favorite change is probably just like at the coronation when Aragorn, who like thinks that Arwen is maybe dead, maybe not, doesn't really know. He's focusing on other things, and like, speaking of freaking romantic kisses, like,
Oh, the way you can see that man's tongue like jump into her mouth.
stop it! Why would you ruin it like
You
that? No.
can. Oh, you can. I will
You
edit it.
can.
I will edit it
And
into this
you know
episode to show
how much
everyone.
You know how much money I would pay to have Viggo Mortensen shove his tongue down my throat? A
Listen,
lot.
same, but
A
like
lot.
that man, I hope to God his tongue went like to the edge of his mouth, and unless he talked to Liv Tyler and she was like,
No, she was totally on board because they were originally going to have her do that kiss with his double, and she was like, "No, I am not doing that kiss with his double. I am doing that kiss with Viggo.
Oh, I love
oh,
that.
speaking of his,
You get Viggo down here, or I don't do this fucking scene." And
wait,
so
is
they
that
were like,
true?
"Yeah, that's true."
That's amazing.
Nice.
Mhm.
I love
That's
that.
amazing.
Like, maybe not
Um,
exactly like, but yeah, she was like, I'm not kissing his double. Like, you need to get Viggo down here. And so they did. And
I
like,
remember someone pointed out that I didn't even realize that wasn't Aragorn who's walking over to her. In or not Aragorn, but like Viggo Mortensen in the film. It's his double because he does look so much like fucking Viggo Mortensen in that. But I remember when I watched the film the first time, I was like, "Oh, did he grow his beard out? His beard's different." Like that's all I noticed, nothing else.
Hmm.
And then someone else pointed out like that's his double. I was like, "Holy shit, that's why he looks so different." Okay, got it.
but yeah, the actual kiss was filmed with Viggo.
I
Um,
don't.
Because
I
Liv
have-
Tyler was like, mm-mm.
I love that.
So you go,
I
girl.
have-
Thank you, Liv.
Jen, I have complex feelings about that Elrond scene because in like a box or whatever, like by itself, I love it. It's great. It perfectly suits movie Aragorn's arc, and I've talked
Mhm.
before about how I really like the way that movie Aragorn is done. I think it's a better
Yeah,
way to
I agree.
handle, especially to a global audience. But
Mhm.
aside from that, the first two movies, like removing that, like it's great. It's great as it is. I don't directly have a complaint about it, except that the first two movies, especially the first one, work so hard to give Arwen more agency than she has in the books,
Mm-hmm.
including some choices that they walked back on, like originally having her be at Helm's Deep, which they which they filmed and then decided that's too much.
And you can still see bits of her.
Yeah.
You can still see her
but
occasionally.
They work so hard for that. And then the parallel moment in the books is her brother showing up with the banner that
the
she
banner
made, that she's like actively a part of. And that's not what happened in the book. The brothers don't exist in the movies. I have no problem with that.
I mean,
sense.
I
We
have
got
my own feelings about that too.
Yeah. But like, no, she didn't make a banner for him because she is, I don't know, swooning because of the evil in the world. Like, I love the Elrond scene. It's one of my
it would have been sick if it had been Arwen specifically.
Yes.
Like, here, I brought you this sword, honey. Like,
yeah, right?
look at this
Get
cool
off your
thing that I
ass.
made
Sword
you.
and
Also,
banner.
I
Stop
wrapped
being
it
a
in this
ranger.
badass banner that I made
There you
for
go.
you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like,
yeah. So like in its context, I love that scene. I love it's a glimpse of like Elrond being a little bit less of a fuddy-duddy that
oh,
he
and
is
a
in
little
the
bit less
movies.
of a dick to Aragorn.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
kind of a dick to Aragorn, which
Yeah.
I
Which is
don't
so weird because he
like.
loves Aragorn.
He
in the
loves
book,
Yeah.
Aragorn. He's like Aragorn is like a son to him.
Yeah.
which
And
makes the
so
marriage
Which
to
is
his
so
daughter
weird.
even weirder.
well, whatever.
Anyways,
Also,
let's
sorry, I have
go ahead.
a random aside because I did last year, like hyper focused on my mother-in-law bought me an ancestry.com subscription for like 6 months. And so I went like super deep into my family and stuff.
Oh
And, like
god, please don't
people,
tell me you're married to your 84th cousin and you found out.
well, no, see, here's the thing.
Technically, most people are like something like 12th cousins a few
Yeah,
times
see
removed.
Yeah.
see, that's the thing. I got
Like
bad news.
being 8th cousins with your spouse is like average.
Yeah, Jeanette and I am 9th cousins with Jeanette's grandmother. So like she's my 9th cousin twice removed. Jeanette is my wife. So like, and that is
See, that's why I don't want to get too deep into that stuff.
yeah,
That's
well,
just,
yeah,
like,
it's but anyway, I just
because
like
it's
people
funny
are
to make fun of it in Lord of the Rings stuff and be like, haha, and then
'cause, like,
to have someone turn around and be like, no, that's realistic. It's
What-
super weird.
but like
You guys are
Arwen,
destroying my world.
yeah, but Arwen is Aragorn's, I think, what is it, like
It's
40
80 something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. Yeah, that's right. That's only after the Kings and yeah, it's like 82nd cousin, twice removed, and it's like I've got bad news for literally every human on the planet. If you think that's gross, especially if you're white.
Oh, thank
That's
God for
amazing.
that. Check.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, so I just that one when people are like, "Oh, they're related," I'm like, "Buddy, just no."
Yeah.
So are we all.
Yeah.
So are we all.
I'm
mean-
gonna so we've talked a lot about Lord of the Rings with the last episode with the two of you and this one. Let's switch to the Hobbit now.
Yeah.
We can talk about them all as a singular cohesive thing instead of like
Okay.
film by film by film. For me, they're pretty divisive. So let's talk about at least our two favorite things out of them as a whole.
Oh, the cast.
Anything that's
Yes.
not the cast.
Anything
Oh,
that's not
okay.
the cast?
Because the cast is amazing in both the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, see, and that's the
Yeah.
easy thing. Trying to
Um,
challenge you.
like
oh, you're trying to challenge. That's not difficult. I love the Hobbit movies.
Oh,
yeah.
gosh.
Okay,
I will say my most favorite thing, my most favorite thing is one of my favorite scenes in the book. And it is the scene in the film is almost verbatim from the book. And it is the scene when Bilbo goes down and talks to Smaug for the first time.
Oh yeah, that's
And
phenomenal.
it is nearly verbatim in the film. And it
Yeah.
is incredible.
So
and
good.
the two of them acted so well. And Benedict does such an incredible job as Smaug. And like they did such an incredible job like animating Smaug. Like
Mhm.
everything about that scene is fucking perfect. Like it's perfect. And it's definitely my favorite part, like for sure.
Yeah, there's definitely
Um,
gems in all of them.
mhm.
I just think it was a humongous misstep to make 3.
I
Yeah.
don't. I think that it is too much material for 2 movies, but not enough for 3.
I don't think
So
it's
I
even
think
enough
you
for
have
2
to go.
films.
Oh, I think it is
Oh,
when you.
definitely
So
is.
having just read the book, like literally in January,
Mm.
there's a lot of, and then they did this, And you can't do that in a movie. You
No.
can't just be like, and then they walked, then they left the path. You know, they chased after like the narrative style of The Hobbit is different enough from Lord of the Rings in that it is very much more of a tell narrative rather than
Yeah.
a show narrative.
The narrator is an active character,
The narrator is an active character. I mean,
which I love.
it's Bilbo, but Bilbo after the fact. But there's a lot of things that just sort of, I mean, it's very similar to like how the Silmarillion is written, where like, so we were just talking in our most recent book club meeting about the rescue of Maedhros, which drink.
Oh, damn it. I forget my own rules.
So that rescue is literally in 4 paragraphs in the Silmarillion.
Mhm.
You can't, like, it takes you, let's say it takes you 10 minutes to read 4 paragraphs in the Silmarillion, which is very generous. It should maybe take you like 2 minutes, but let's say
Wow.
you're,
Hey, listen, Jen, some of us read real slow. Let's calm down.
I'm being generous. I'm giving you 10 minutes to read 4
I know.
paragraphs,
I
okay?
know. I'm playing
That's
I was
around.
gonna
more
say,
than
I
2
need
minutes
at
a
least
paragraph.
5. I don't...
But I'm just saying that scene, which takes place in 4 paragraphs that would maybe take you at maximum 5 minutes to read, even if you're reading in freaking Braille, you cannot show that. You cannot portray that scene in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Are you daring me? Because I'll do it.
Bust out that heart, bitch.
Actually, so real
Oh,
quick, as a quick
good.
tangent, I have an idea of exactly what song Fingon and Maedhros would be singing to, damn it, to one another. And you remember the song by Lifehouse? God, what's it called?
You and
Falling,
me?
falling even more
Falling
in love
even
with
more,
you, letting go of all of hell on
on
too.
to.
Yeah, yeah, that
Hanging by a Moment is what that
hanging
song
by a
is called.
moment here with
Yes.
you. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
and especially if we add the extra little
Hanging by a moment.
motorcycle revs that happen towards the end of the song.
Oh, see, I was taking those out. I have an
Oh,
edit. I
no.
have an edit in my head. I wish I
Oh.
was an animator because I would have just done it myself, and I would have proven to you I could do it in under 10 minutes.
All right.
Do it.
I'm
I
I'm just
dare. I triple dog
Yeah,
dare
do
you.
it.
it's gonna have to be
Do
stick
it.
figures to do
I'm
it.
just saying the Hobbit is very similar in that it is a very like
So, and that's my issue with the Hobbit is, yeah, it's so different from the Lord of the Rings, and I think it was a mistake to try to make it aesthetically the exact same as the Lord of the Rings.
Yes, and that's, to me, that's my biggest. I know we're supposed to be talking about the positive things, but that's my biggest complaint about the Hobbit movies. Because I'll get some positive things. Because I just did a rewatch towards the end of the year last year, and I've got plenty of positives. But that's
tons
my
of positives over here.
biggest complaint is like the movie can't decide what it is. Because the book
Yes.
is just a book, and then
It's
the
a-
Lord of the Rings is a magnificent opus of a sequel.
Okay, but don't hate on my Hobbit like that.
Oh no, I love The Hobbit. No. I'm just comparing. So like, I don't
No.
mean the book disparagingly. I love The Hobbit. I've got a joke that I might have told last time that I'm going to tell again in a minute, but I'm going to finish this thought first. But like the movies, obviously you've already had Lord of the Rings movies. So rather than Hobbit,
You have to
and
try to
then Lord
tonally
of the Rings
match
is
them.
sequel, you have the
Mhm.
Lord of the Rings, and then The Hobbit is a prequel. But the Hobbit movies can't decide if they are the lighthearted, thoughtful adventure that the book
Tra-la-la-lally
is,
down
or
in the
if
valley.
they're an edgy, doom is surely coming to us all prequel
Right.
to the Lord of the Rings, and they
Mhm.
flip back and forth violently.
And I would say like my personal biggest complaint about the Hobbit movies is that I feel like the Hobbit movies have a little too much Peter Jackson in them.
100%.
Yep.
And
I agree with that.
and that's not to disparage Peter in any way because I desperately want to be him. I want to be Peter Jackson. I just want to direct Lord of the Rings movies. That's all I really want. I don't even have to win Oscars for them, but that would be cool. But like I think, for me personally, you look at Frighteners and Meet the Feebles and all of Peter's previous work, and it's kind of they're horror movies, like,
Right.
and they're kind of like body horror movies, which is not my favorite thing in the world.
No.
And I feel
Same.
like with Lord of the Rings, there were a lot of people who were like, Peter, no. Peter, no.
Yeah.
Peter, no. Don't do that. Can't do
Don't-
that.
Don't
Don't do that. And then in the Hobbit movies, they were like, oh no, Peter, you're an Academy Award winning director. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, yeah. It's got a
And-
I
little
really
bit.
appreciate you doing this in a New Zealand accent. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Jen.
It does a little bit have the George Lucas in the prequels problem of like it sort of feels like it's the same like unique, significant voice, but this time there's not somebody saying no. There's not
No.
a future ex-wife there going,
Peter,
"Hey,
Peter,
honey, what
no.
if this made sense?"
Mhm.
And I will
We
also,
can't go on the Star Wars. You can't go on the Star Wars
no,
path.
we're not doing that. But I will always be sad as much as I do love, and my love for them has increased on this last rewatch. But as much as I do love what there is to love about the Peter Jackson Hobbit movies, I will always be sad that we never got what was originally announced, which was a duology directed by
Guillermo del Toro.
Guillermo del Toro.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I want that weird little duology.
See, but I don't like GDT. Like
Oh, 100%.
nothing
We
against,
talked about this the last time I was on with
yeah,
you.
nothing against the man. I just don't like his. I don't like his style.
There's not
It's-
a particular
It's
one
a
of his
little
movies
too
I
horror. It's,
love.
you know, we thought like
That's true.
and
He's more body horror than even.
he's
yeah.
more body horror than Peter
Yeah.
Jackson is. I mean, like, I'm gonna put hands on my eyeballs and
Yeah.
have eyeballs in my hands. Yeah. Anyway, like that's
Here's
not to disparage Labyrinth. It's a great movie.
Here's my almost my like where I'm at with the Peter Jackson trilogy as far as the Hobbits go. There's lots of little things I would tweak and plotting I would tweak, but especially for the first two movies. But for all of it, you take the entire trilogy, you take every single action sequence, make it half as long.
Except the barrels, because the
Great
barrels are
movie.
so fun.
Oh God, Jen.
Don't
no.
take my barrels away from me.
No.
I love the
You
barrel
you were
scene.
the chosen one.
I love the barrel scene. I
You
was
were meant
supposed
to
to bring
bring
balance to the force.
Force,
I know.
exactly.
I understand.
Not throw it into darkness.
But I love the barrel scene. I love it so much. It's
Oh,
so, and
no.
like when Bomber like it's
No.
That was
Oh,
delightfully
that's the
Lord.
one that's
But-
the one thing that I'm like, yeah, that was fun. Yeah. That was
Yeah, and it walks that line a bunch and goes over the line way too much. Also, and I'm sorry, TJ, you can cut this out if I already made this joke, because I just can't stop thinking about it, and I might legitimately try and do it someday. Like, much is known about that, like, J.R.R. Tolkien tried to go back and rewrite The Hobbit in the voice of the Lord of the, more consistent tone with the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Like, I'm sure you guys heard, like, he started to, and then just like, I did it. That's not what I want. What I desperately want is the Silmarillion told in the voice of the narrator from The Hobbit. What I want is, and then Elothingal, who was not overly prone to listening to wisdom
Fuck
to begin with.
Elothingal.
I was getting my drink ready.
Indeed. I want a sassy little narrator like, and Thingol, who again ignored his wife. Like, that's what I want. I want the Silmarillion rewritten in that sassy little narrator.
I do too.
That's just give me the whole legendarium.
And I also think that my biggest complaint about the Hobbit movies does also kind of stem from the fact that because of the director switch, which I pin entirely on WB, I pin the 3 movies on WB, I pin the thing that I hate the most, which is the stupid fucking love triangle. I pin that all on Warner
Did we talk about
Brothers.
that last time? Anyway, keep going. Finish your thought.
But-
I don't think so.
I think that most of my gripes with the Hobbit movies can be summed up by one, no one telling Peter no, because there wasn't time to tell Peter no. And plus Peter was an Academy Award winning director at this point. But just generally, like, because of the director switch, Lord of the Rings was in pre-production for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And The Hobbit was in pre-production for like
10 minutes.
1. And so there just wasn't the same amount of time to put in the same level of care and attention to detail. And they still did a great job with the timeline that they had. But I don't think that you can really like fully blame, I mean, anyone but Warner Brothers for that. But like, I think that like really my biggest issues really do stem from no one being there to tell Peter no.
Yeah.
Because like the thing that I hate the most, aside from the love triangle, is all the Goblin Town shit. The Great Goblin is disgusting, like beyond disgusting. All the goblins having like weird like gout and gross bulbous pustules and shit, like, is gross. I just don't like it. Like, and they did a lot of that practically, and Peter was just like, I don't like that. I want it to be grosser.
Mhm.
And I'm like, so they CG'd on top of practically done
You got
goblins.
scrotum chin and
Oh God, don't get me started
Ugh.
on scrotum chin.
Yeah.
Like, what a waste of Barry Humphries, man. Like,
Yeah.
But like,
yes.
I think it really just, I think really my biggest issues just come down to no one telling Peter no.
Yeah, agreed.
Oh
Here-
yeah, and you can feel it. Like it like to both of your points, it is like insanely cartoony and then like super fucking serious. What
yeah.
the fuck? Why?
Mhm.
Why?
What pick
There's
one.
no tone.
I
Either
think-
one is appropriate for what you're trying to do.
and
Pick
then
a
and then
lane.
and then and here's one of my like things that I actually really enjoy about the Hobbit films is there's a couple of like beautifully heartfelt scenes that like you could have kept those and the cartooniness, and it would those two would have juxtaposed each
That's
other
the Hobbit.
beautifully. Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
When Thorin or when Bilbo is explaining why he's helping the dwarves, gorgeous,
Mhm.
amazing.
That is one of my favorite. That's my favorite
beautifully
edition.
written, beautifully acted,
Ugh.
Mhm.
And
beautifully
the
shot.
scene at the
and-
end of An Unexpected Journey when Thorin's like, "Did I not say you would be a burden?"
Yeah.
And then I've never been so wrong in all my life. Like
That whole scene is
as
my-
a bag
And
and
then-
shield shipper, I was
yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
And
That
then
whole
and then
scene
the
is my
scene
favorite
where Galadriel asks Gandalf why the halfling. Like,
Oh.
That's not even a book thing. That's not
Yeah.
a book
Yeah.
thing. And it is so perfectly aligned
It's
with
so
what
beautiful.
the Hobbit is.
Yeah.
And like the greater legendarium is about.
Mhm.
That like
It
perfect.
it
Keep
so
it in.
gets it.
Had they not done the weird fucking shit that they did in that film, those films, and like not made everything so fucking long in them, I think they would have been really good films. I truthfully do not think that they needed to be 3 films. Honestly, you can have, except for fucking Alfred in
Oh.
you can keep everything else in, but trim it the fuck down. Keep the
Speaking
keep the
of
barrel scenes.
Every
wastes,
action
what a waste of Stephen Fry.
Yeah,
What a
agreed.
what a waste.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Also, I have a hot take.
Keep everything that was in there, but like just cut it. Like even the damn barrel scene, just cut things down a little bit.
love
Trim
this
the
barrel
scene.
fat a little bit.
Here,
Holding on, and it would have been an amazing 2 films. It honestly only need to be 2. Also, Billy Connolly was such an amazing choice for Die 9 and 4.
So
yes,
amazing.
yes.
I just
wanted more of him.
don't like the CGI around his mouth, but I think that was a thing with like
Didn't even
because-
notice that
I super noticed it, but I think he was dealing with
because he's got Parkinson's.
yeah. I think that might have
Yeah.
been why they did it. It seemed like they didn't take
Yeah.
enough time with it. It
Yeah,
looked-
because I imagine my dad.
Because
has
everything was
Parkinson's, so I
rushed.
imagine,
Yeah.
like,
Because they just,
doing-
you know.
I can't imagine my dad doing motion capture. My dad has
Yeah.
Parkinson's, so I can't like.
Oh, okay. fair.
Yeah, so that's probably what it is. Here's my hot take for The Hobbit, and forgive me, TJ, you can get it out if I've already said it on another podcast I might have.
It's
but
ultra hot, if so.
Yeah, it's ultra. I'm saying it twice. So the love triangle. Here was
Oh,
and
God.
I was shocked to my core to have this opinion coming out of my rewatch last like November. I hate. Let me start. I hate the love triangle.
Mm-hmm.
I have no problem with any particular part of it if they picked one. Do the like
That
tragic.
is a
and
hot
I
take.
do.
That is a hot take.
No,
Oh, George,
that
I'm
is a
giving you
hot take.
No,
defense.
Hear me out. Sindarin elf versus Sylvan elf, like coupling up and the drama there. That's an interesting take that we haven't seen much of in Tolkien
They're
film.
supposed to be
Okay.
like siblings.
There's something like that.
Mm.
Well, she's a made up character. She can be whatever she wants.
I know. but-
That's fine. Also, this is the part that most shocked me because I want to hate it because Gimli
Don't
and
you dare.
Legolas's
Don't you
friendship.
dare. Don't you fucking dare, George.
The romance.
I loved it.
It is so underdeveloped. But if you reduce Legolas to
If I could just have Keely and Tauriel, without the weird Legolas
Yeah,
addendum.
just Legolas is a cameo because of course he's there. Don't do any sort of relationship between the two of them.
Have
And
them be homies.
yes, yes, sure. And then that's it. Like
Homies at most.
pick one of those additions and I'm on board. It's great. My issue with the love triangle is not
can get
any
behind that.
part of the plotting.
It's the
It's the
triangularness.
triangulus.
Yeah, I'm with
because
you.
it serves
The whole
nothing.
geometry of it.
Yes,
Mhm.
exactly.
Yeah, the whole
It
geometry
serves
of it.
nothing. It's weirdly dramatic. It also makes both things underdeveloped. It also, by the way, undercuts what should be. People seem very mixed on this scene, but where Tariel is mourning Keely, and then Thranduil comes in and gives her that speech about like, that's how you know it was real. The fact that there was a love triangle and he doesn't approve of her interest in Legolas makes that seem underhanded. You know,
Yeah.
taken on its face, it's beautifully written.
It's beautiful.
And it's a wonderful,
when I
comforting
tell
thing.
you, like
Yeah.
that line, that particular line,
Yes.
when Tauriel says, "Why does it hurt so much?" and Thranduil says, "Because it was real." Like when I was
Yes.
sitting in the theater already crying, because of course I was already crying.
Yeah.
But when he said that, I just like fucking lost it. Like I was like
Yeah.
audibly like gasping for air in the theater, because to me, that line was so validating for me
Yeah.
personally. Like that line
100%.
seriously like hit me like a truck, because I was sitting there like feeling like kind of a little awkward and embarrassed that I was crying so hard over fictional characters, and feeling like intense like physical heartache over this death, over all of these deaths. And then like Thranduil saying because it was real was just like so incredibly validating to me.
Yes. It's
that
so
I was
good.
like, it seriously like knocked me, and I was like at that point I was just like legit like gasping for air in the theater. Like I was just like sobbing uncontrollably. My husband was like, I don't know her.
No, I completely agree with that. But then, like, what struck me on the rewatch was like, how much better would that scene be if, because it adds a little bit of like duplicity to it that earlier, 6 movies ago or whatever, however long this is, you know, he's like, oh, I don't want you with some gross Sylvan elf. They're disgusting. And so, like, it makes it kind of feel underhanded that, like, we know she had an interest in Legolas previously and he didn't approve. So now he's like, oh, your love for this person who isn't my son is real. And I hate that because it is so beautiful. And it would be such a more beautiful scene if, like, she and Legolas were just friends, and this was the
and
romance.
that's why I say, like, my head canon is that there's nothing on her side.
Yeah.
That like, I mean, really, truthfully, in my heart, because I'm a diehard Giggles shipper as well. Gimli and Legolas.
Yeah. Thank you. I got there. Yeah.
Like, I'm like, no, Legolas, your boy's coming for you. Just wait. Like,
yeah.
So my problem with that love triangle is the Gimli and Legolas of it all, is knowing how much they hated each other when they started and how much they loved each other by the end. And it feels like knowing that that's earlier in the
historians will say
storyline.
they were roommates.
Exactly.
Oh my God, they were roommates.
Hetero life mates, right? Right, guys?
Yeah, totes.
Platonic
life partners.
Probably talking about girls they liked.
Right. But my problem is knowing that they're like, that's earlier in the story. So it's earlier in the story, and then there's this like love whatever, and like Legolas clearly like has feelings for Tauriel, and probably was talking to her and like got all this like it like so what, and then he meets he meets Gimli and he fucking hates Gimli. I don't know. I didn't. The problem, well, actually, let me be completely honest. My whole problem with it is very much like probably stems from some gatekeepy bookness, where like I'll own it, whatever. Like elves and dwarves hate each other for a reason, and it's only Legolas and Gimli who overcome that. And like I don't want what happens between them to be
that my friend is Finrod erasure.
Ooh.
Come again?
It's also Aeol erasure, but I'm here for that.
Well,
Who's that
fuck
finger
AOL.
adoration?
Mm-hmm.
Acting like Legolas and Gimli were like the only elf and dwarf homies. Come on, man.
No. In the third age.
Yeah, I say part of
Okay,
a
okay,
lot of the
okay.
things
I
that
was like,
happen later are where it comes from.
my friend.
No, I'm
Yeah.
talking about like after all the rifts have happened, like
okay.
after the first age shit and the second
Singles
age shit
death.
and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm talking in the third age.
Okay.
The reparation of that.
I just
is
had to
like
make sure
Oh yeah,
because I was
Yeah.
like,
no.
And-
I'm not doing grab your drinks. I'm not doing an Athrobeth.
All right, now TJ.
Oh,
What I mean is the reparation of the relations between elves and dwarves is Legolas and Gimli, and to give Tauriel that love triangle with a dwarf, even though he doesn't have a beard, he's not a fucking dwarf.
I just think because in LOTRO.
Okay, so thank you both for being here.
Yeah.
We have Jen. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and Twitch as at elvish_groves. I guess technically on Blue Sky it's elvish-groves because they wouldn't let me do an underscore. It doesn't matter. It's just Elvish Groves. Come join the book club. It's fun.
Yes.
It is fun. We're all part of the same
It's great
Discord.
fun.
It's a good time.
Yeah.
George, where can people find you if they want to?
So I am, and this is different from, I can't remember when. It's definitely different from the first time I was on here. I am George and Such pretty much everywhere, but basically where you will actually find me to be online will be Threads and Blue Sky and TikTok at, George and Such.
Well, thank you both for hanging out. It's been a great second time recording with you both. I love you both very much. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
We
You
love
too.
you too.
We love you too.
Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Tolkien on Tap. Thank you for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe and follow me on any of my social medias. I'm on Threads, Instagram, Blue Sky, and TikTok at @the_Neej. Namarie.